All right, welcome back. My co-caster is currently AFK during the break. He didn't come back yet. So we just saw Reynad reverse sweep his opponent, which was actually really interesting. Druid is probably one of the most, the strongest classes right now in the metagame. I think everybody would tend to agree. It's the most represented class in the tournament. It's no surprise. The amount of reach that it has in very aggressive decks, which is generally what we've seen. Less and less of the, ramp wall Druid that we saw last week in the metagame. Much more of the double aggression because it's Undertaker not being around means that you don't have to worry too much about your health total in general, and you can actually afford to just go on the offensive. And between the tempo gain of Innervate and the double combo plays, you can steal wins, just sweep it under your opponent's feet, and that can lead to some either you can look at it as fun or aggravating matches. I feel like it's pretty cool. And Reynad there getting 3-0 on his opponent was pretty nice. Next up, we're going to have Alesh versus ek0p. Alesh, one of the players who qualified through the qualifiers of the tournament, so he's a fairly unknown player. He's so far done pretty well in this tournament. I think he actually went 2-0 initially in his Group B against Powder initially, and then I believe he beat Carlos, if I'm not mistaken. So he beat Carlos and Powder and moved on to round 3 right now. He's going to be facing off against ek0p, who came back from the... Was it in loser's bracket? No, actually, no. ek0p finished second of his Group C. That's right. So just the two groups getting merged together. So yeah, Alesh, I was talking about while you were away. Apparently, we came back off the break way too early. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So Alesh versus ek0p's coming up. What do you know of the lineup from Alesh, by the way?
I know Alesh is running Druid, Mage, Pally, and Shaman. So another Shaman. I don't know if we've got the bans yet. But I hope we're going to see another Shaman.
Yeah, we haven't seen many at all.
Only 3 persons brought Shaman in this tournament, and I think the third one dropped yesterday. So this is our last chance of seeing a Shaman in this tournament if Alesh doesn't go in the second round.
Yeah, for the second round of the finals. And yeah. I mean, he's a pretty good player. He got through the qualifiers, so he probably knows what he's doing. He's going to be facing off against ek0p, one of the big names in the competitive scene. So it's his chance to make a stand and prove that he can get to the finals here, much like Carlos in the last battle of the best. Maybe we're going to have an underdog win at this time.
Yeah, and if someone can make it against ek0p, it's definitely Alesh. He's proven already that he can definitely stand against the big names. And,
yeah, I know that his mage is not going to be playable, though. ek0p banned the mage, and okay. Alesh felt more confident banning ek0p's rogue. We saw the rogue from ek0p. What really interested me most about the lineups of the ek0p's decks is the warlock. We saw a really interesting warlock list with almost too much healing. I mean, it was incredible the amount of healing that's in there. It's a very mid-rangey warlock, right? With Mistress of Pain, no Void Callers. You would have thought that it would have been more of a demon lock, but it's not. Mistresses of Pain and Demon Heart. I think there's a one of as removal, and in combination with the Mistress of Pain for very high health swings.
Yeah, and this is interesting that Alesh didn't ban this warlock. That means he's actually comfortable going against it. So I guess he studied it overnight and. Thinks that his decks can beat this warlock, which is very...
Alright, well, apparently we're going to be going through the interviews, and we're going to see the games right afterwards.
Hey, my name is Alesh, and I'm from Czech Republic. I'm 20 years old, and I play Hearthstone for Team My Insanity. I think the Undertaker nerf is good. I'm really happy about it. The only thing I'm not happy about it is that the patch was only like 3 days before the end of the season, so it kind of destroyed the meta, and yeah, it kind of destroyed the ladder a little bit 3 days before the end of the season. I would be Leok because at least somebody have to choose him, right? I wouldn't go back in time. I would go forward in time where a time machine is discovered, so I can go and watch everything I ever wanted. Like, I can watch everything. Like, I can see dinosaurs, I can see pyramids, I can see everything. So that's what I would do. Definitely Dark Onyx because I don't know if you have ever seen him, but he's huge. So yeah, Dark Onyx.
I am ek0p. I don't care. Hail Huffer. I don't care about the past, I just care about the future. I would totally pick Legendary Leah because she can slap a hoe.
All right, so after these short interviews from Alesh and ek0p, we were talking before the interviews came up about the Warlock deck that ek0p had and how comfortable Alesh felt against it. I think it might have to do with the fact that he might have been okay with facing it as a mech mage and possibly as a druid as well. The amount of burst in a druid deck can definitely maybe contest with the board presence that that Warlock has and the amount of healing it does.
Yeah, and this Warlock deck, I mean, ek0p's done a great job with it so far, and I have to say, it's really hard to play. I tried to play it on ladder this morning, and I got wrecked game after game. So it definitely is way harder to play than it seems.
Yeah, maybe
And
it's more of a tourney deck. Maybe on ladder, the metagame might make it a little worse. I mean, ek0p did ban Alesh's mage, which might indicate that he feels like his warlock deck might have a problem with mage. So on ladder, you're going to be running into plenty of mages, so maybe that's not the deck you want to bring in that specific case. You can get bursted down before you can really stabilize, and Mistress of Pain is not going to stick around for you to Demon Heart most of the time, so... A lot of the plays that you would like to make become liabilities. Hellfire becomes a problem at that point. There are no Molten Giants to swing the tempo back, like in Handlock. It's a very unique list, but very, very strong one. And he also has Rogue and Paladin, but his Rogue is banned, so...
Yeah, so... And of course, Druid. But
yeah,
exactly
I mean, Druid
like you
versus
say,
Druid, it's...
the fact that the Warlock doesn't have Molten Giants means that it's kind of hard to get a tempo swing because as your health gets lower, it's not easier to swing the game back. It gets harder because you have to heal, and the heal bots heal for a lot, which is very good because it reduces the reach of your opponent, but they're also 5 mana, and it's hard to play both a board clear or a good removal and that heal in the same turn.
Yeah.
So you really have to control the board very effectively and know what your opponent is able to do, both in terms of reach and in terms of replenishing the board the following turn, because you need to prepare your answers ahead of time.
Yeah, you need to make sure that you have what it takes on the following turn to deal with what they've got right now. And some of the cards in there cost a lot, so your real snowball mechanic or your ability to really establish a strong board comes in a bit like about turn 7, 8, 9 is where you get to play Hellfire with a minion, or Twilight Drake plus turn 6 Twilight Drake Dark Bomb. But he's counting on his early game. Like I think I saw Zombie Chows yesterday, which allow him to maintain some kind of a foothold on the early game, combined with Dark Bombs into Hellfires, into like his ideal hand looks a bit like that, where he gets the early game, Dark Bomb, Zombie Chows, and then transitions into Sludge Belcher, anti-heal bot. And I like the fact that Mistress of Pain can be dropped early because it will mitigate some of the life tap damage that he will take.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like what's the hardest, at least in my experience with this deck, is to actually be able to clear the board, because when you don't have minions on the board already, it's really hard to kill more, to kill a board of bulky minions. Like you can clear a lot of small minions with Hellfire or with Shadow Flame. We don't have a lot of big minions to Shadow Flame for a small cost.
Yeah, it's unlike, I remember Kalento's, mid-range Warlock was running 2 Power Overwhelmings, 2 Abusive Sergeants, 1 Dark Iron Dwarf. Not only did they work, Dark Iron Dwarf and Abusive with Big Game Hunter, where you could buff an opponent's attack and then kill it right away. In case they played Kel'Thuzad, hoping you wouldn't play BGH, you can still get that. And it also had the Power Overwhelmings, which not only gave him reach, but the ability to play much better Shadow Flames. And ek0p is not running this. He's running the Mistresses of Pain with Demon Heart, a very different approach to the mid-range Warlock, but ultimately equally valid. Now, both players still have their Druid, which I think it's weird that players are not banning Druid, considering just how disgustingly strong they've been in this tournament so far. I feel I could consider banning Druid just to make sure I don't get, Force of Nature down and maybe a win stolen away from me off of those turn 9 snowballs.
I mean, I can't believe ek0p didn't think this through, because everyone's running Druid, so it's not like you can get away with not having an answer to Druid. So, I
mean, the current rogues that exist are pretty decent against Druid. I'll be honest, I initially thought they were a little weak, but they do have what it takes nowadays. The Tinker, Sharpsword, Oil rogues do have good answers to that. But the thing is, ek0p's rogue got banned. He banned a mage, which leaves him without his rogue to deal with the Druid. So his best hope almost becomes the Druid mirror match at that point.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a coin flip.
Yeah, that makes, I don't know what he's going to open with. I feel like since there's the threat of the Druid, opening Warlock might not be the best idea. But I don't know, it might still be his... He might open with Druid since it's so consistent as a class.
Yeah, I mean, as a Paladin is also a class that can get really easy wins. If you get the shielded mini-boss early, the knife jugglers, and you manage to snowball. I don't think ek0p is running the heavy control list. I think he's running a very typical mid-range Paladin at this point. I haven't seen anything out of the ordinary from his list. Unlike the one that I saw, I believe, from Reynad was playing... I think Reynad's Paladin played Acolytes of Pain a little bit on the slower end at that point.
Yeah, if I remember well from yesterday, ek0p was playing Cogmaster in his pally. Not completely sure, but...
The Coghammer, you mean?
Yeah, my bad.
Alright. So Alesh opens with his Druid that wasn't banned, and the Paladin comes from ek0p. Actually, we see an anti-heal bot in that starting hand for ek0p, which indicates that it might be at least a mix or a hybrid between some kind of controlled pally and the more aggressive options. We see Knife Juggler and the anti-heal bot.
Yeah, so it looks like it's an in-between, not fully aggressive, not fully defensive either, so...
Yep.
I like this.
Alesh has found his Innervate, no Wild Growth, I don't even know that he runs them, but he's got the perfect answer to a turn 2 Knife Juggler into the, Innervate, Keeper of the Grove, and even a coin Paladin Shredder.
Yeah, and I guess for today, maybe that's why ek0p banned Mage, but everyone so far has banned Mage.
Yeah, I guess
so I guess it's the deck that no one knows how to deal with them, and since everyone's running Druid, everyone has at least one bad matchup against Mage, so...
Yeah, so we see here that Alesh stopped decking the Wild Growth, which he apparently does run, means that he's going to delay his Keeper of the Grove play, which is going to allow ek0p to get a smaller foothold on the board. But, let's not deceive ourselves. This is still not very good for ek0p, because this Paladin Shredder is going to counter ek0p's Paladin Shredder, and the double Ancient of Lore, back-to-back, turn 5 and turn 6 off the coin, is going to give a massive card advantage lead to Alesh.
Yeah, this is going to be huge.
Oh, wow. So what do you play here, being Alesh? There are so many ways to approach this specific turn. I feel like innervating Ancient of Lore is just so good.
Yeah,
and then you can...
Yeah, unless... I mean, he's not under insane pressure, so I feel like just getting the card draw so that... I mean, and the 5/5 body is actually pretty solid by itself. Yep. And then you can draw into removal, because if you can establish a board and use Wrath and Swipes to clear the minions while maintaining your own board, then you put pressure, and he already has the combo for turn 9. So
yeah, he's already assembled the 2 combo pieces, so all he has to do is make sure that whatever he plays sticks on the board. And ek0p's going to... He has really no good play outside of Harrison Jones, I feel, which is going to at least be able to contest that 5/5. Alright, Shredder getting pretty decent value here. Uh-oh.
Oh. If you coin Boom, then you trade into Harrison, so you don't get MC Tech value. We've seen the MC Tech yesterday, so Alesh should know that ek0p runs it.
I'm thinking about a weak turn And you just try to transition into that Doctor. I mean, could you just coin out Ancient of Lore and let your opponent deal with that 5/5?
I mean,
And then Doctor Boom afterwards, or do you have to go? Oh, he's going to go full combo. That's going to play into MC Tech very hard. And even the big game hunter, you know what? Alesh is not going to be happy about the outcome here.
Nope. MC Tech, BGH.
This is a perfect swing for ek0p. He had the exact two tech cards to deal with both Dr. Boom and the little boom bots that came out.
This is getting punished really hard.
Oh, the counter tech into the shredder. This is actually, if he gets the power shredder, this is gonna be insane. Okay, so it's just a double MC tech.
Not too bad.
It's pretty strong.
Okay, well,
Mad Bomber.
tempo swing into tempo swing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what? What's really scary is that ek0p knows that all Alesh really needs is a few turns alone to get that combo. If anything sticks on this board, it gets increasingly difficult for ek0p to deal with it. He might be able to get a decent consecration, but oh wow.
Okay.
That is crazy, actually.
That's okay, but I guess Alesh is just gonna either lure to get more draws if he wants to keep the game going, or just charge it to the clock and
yeah, that MC tech, the counter MC tech really played a big role here. This might be a really good turn to attack the 1/1 and Ragnaros, get that damage in, and set up for that combo next turn.
But then you don't have lethal, unless you don't have lethal.
On board, yes, but like looking at what ek0p himself has, does it get much better than this for Ragnaros? I mean, you're guaranteed 8 damage. You'll never get another opportunity to do this if he starts playing Muster or even Dr. Boom.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because of the tokens, Rag isn't that great. What about owling Rag
and then Aldor?
Then it's still lethal though, because Rag's gonna hit for 3 damage for lethal.
Yeah, and the anti-heal bot really can't be played if that combination of plays is made. Well, ek0p is going to try it out at least. Give it an honest shot. Hope his opponent does not have the combo. But that is not happening.
Seriously, this game. I mean, turn 7, turn 8. Turn 7 and 8 were so intense with the double MC tech by both sides.
Yeah, and we see again another Savage Roar win for Druid today. I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw a Druid with anything else at this point, but it's also understandable since it's the core piece of strategy that Druids tend to employ as a means of, winning in aggressive decks. It just feels like, in combination with cards like Powder Shredder, the ability to innervate, they ramp up to potential lethal very, very quickly, and without anything to put them in check. They have silences, they've got high enough damage removal that they can remove taunts very easily. They can even tech in a Black Knight if necessary. It feels to me like that combo is getting out of hand at the moment in the metagame. Somebody's gonna have to come up with a way to deal with it.
Yeah, well on the ladder you have the Mech Mage, but when you can ban a deck, as long as you ban Mage,
you're
it's
right.
Pretty solid all around.
That's right. And Alesh is going to take the 1-0 lead against ek0p, who loses his Paladin deck. He is left with Warlock and Druid, one of which is a mirror match, and I feel like his Warlock is not exactly favored in this matchup. He puts himself down very low on health by tapping, and exposes himself to a very, very awkward burst that just Alesh can take advantage of.
Yeah, and Druid doesn't have great minions for Implosion, because they have quite high HP, and the Mistress of Pain just dies to any minion, so
any 4-attack minion will get rid of her. So ek0p is gonna opt for the 50-50 with Druid. He's on the coin. Alesh doesn't have his Wild Growth, no innervates either, so this start is gonna be slower on Alesh's part unless he finds one of the early ramp.
Right, so well, both players have a non-ramp curve, so which isn't too bad.
Yeah, but ek0p has the edge with the coin shade, allowing him to just set up the shade for a later turn, where suddenly the burst becomes that much stronger if he's running double combo.
Yep. Or just kill a 5 or 6 drop.
Yeah, this is a very crucial top deck here. This Black Knight not coming in handy in the immediate sense. And I like the fact that ek0p kept that coin, because that means if Druid of the Claw is played on the curve, then coin Black Knight deals with it immediately, as opposed to having to wait.
And maybe he would have coined the shade, like you said, if he didn't draw this Black Knight.
Yeah,
we can't be sure, but it's at least a factor to consider.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny how both players playing quote-unquote aggressive Druid decks have not done anything for the first 3 turns.
Yeah.
Alesh finds his wild growth much too late.
Last turn would have been fine. This turn is just extremely awkward.
Yeah, and you need to start developing the board at this point, because you know your opponent has his coin, possibly innervates. He's going to start, putting down really threatening minions.
Now this is awkward because ek0p wants to keep the coin to Black Knight, a Druid of the Claw, but also would really like to play 5-drop instead of a Keeper that feels kind of weak at the moment.
I mean, how bad is Keeper of the Grove silence and trade? I just don't know if that's a play you would ever like to make.
You'd trade a 3-drop and Battle Cry for a 4-drop.
Mm-hmm. It's not amazing. No.
Well.
I told you.
Well.
I told you. This is what, the 4th time? This tournament has had the highest representation of Doomsayers I have ever seen, and now ek0p is forced to trade a Shade after using a Wrath. This is the last. ek0p might as well have Keeper of the Grove this and traded the Shade away at this point.
And this Spectral Knight is. Oh, that hurts so bad for ek0p.
Yeah, combined with Keeper of the Grove and Wrath, this gives Alesh the ability to trade in just about anything he wants. But it's not like Alesh even has to at this point.
Yeah, what's
I feel like BotB is somewhat viable, because you can always use your Hero Power or Keeper of the Grove to finish off the Spectral Knight. I'm sure Drake also eats up that, so it's not that bad.
So now he's committed to Keeper next turn.
Yeah, but the thing is, if Alesh decides to go for a fancy Wrath play, then that could lead to a pretty awkward Spectral Knight sticking around.
Wrath, Hero Power, Wild Growth.
Yeah, just ramp up and remove this Drake with your... Yeah. This Keeper of the Grove from ek0p is not going to do what he expected it to.
Could even Wrath for 1 to get closer to the combo, and that's what he chooses to do.
Yep.
Like
no, this is the better Wrath play.
Yep.
Fancy Wrath play into Wild Growth gives him the ability to ramp up into the combo, be able to play Ancients of Lore, much more effectively and weave them in with a Hero Power 2 turns from now. So this is definitely something that he must be happy about.
Oh, okay. Do you coin lore, draw cards, hope to get something better and to swing the game?
What I like about coining out the lore, but then again, how many cards? Yeah, you'll be exactly on 9, I believe. So playing that specific card right now, what it does is it allows you to get a Keeper of the Grove to kill a Spectral Knight right afterwards, because he unlikely kills a 5/5 right now.
Yeah. Okay, so going for the card draw.
Very good. He's got his combo set up, so all he really needs is some kind of, board presence that sticks just before Alesh goes for it. And Alesh is going to go for BotB Shade, and this is setting up for the most intense lethal ever.
But then, okay, so ek0p's forced to BotB this turn, otherwise he's dead.
But he knows it.
But if he BotBs this turn, he doesn't really do much about his board. He takes more damage and he's dead in 2 turns.
Yeah, it's a matter of time, because unless another taunt is drawn on the back of Druid, because he can play Druid of the Claw, and then play perhaps another taunt afterwards, but he needs to top deck that taunt right now in order to make sure he has at least a double taunt line to set up against this board. That's a lot of damage taken, and there's 7 damage coming up right now from Alesh.
Yeah, and then I mean at this point you just charge the Druid of the Claw.
Yeah, you just go all in. You charge with the Claw, Keeper of the Grove for damage, and just leave it at that. It's almost
I like the Keeper for damage because this Keeper is basically dealing 6 damage. 2 now, 4 next turn. so the silence isn't really worth it, since you
Yeah.
won't be able to play it in the same turn in conjunction with the Force of Nature Savage Roar combo.
Exactly, it accomplishes very little in this specific case. So we look at ek0p's hand. He's got Force of Nature, Savage Roar playable with Innervate, but that he can't wipe the board and kill his opponent before the opposite happens to him. Druid of the Claw and Swipe could allow him to kill the 4/4 and use Loatheb on the Spectral Knight. But that would also leave him vulnerable to the Force of Nature Savage Roar. So there's really nothing that ek0p
There's no
can
way
do in
for
this
ek0p
case.
to live here. I don't see any way.
No,
Like-
the advantage was pressed too much on Alesh's part. That Loatheb really stealing the ability for ek0p to stabilize.
What ek0p, what I'm asking is, since ek0p has so many cards in hand, and since double combo is so popular, shouldn't Alesh have gone for a bear instead of a cat last turn? Because ek0p could have won now with the double combo. With the amount of cards he has.
No, I mean he would have had to have 2 Innervates, right? Because he's
just
only
one.
got 8 mana.
Oh, he's on 8. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
no
that's a
way
good
that.
point. Okay,
I think
never
playing around 4 card combos at this point is unrealistic.
Yeah, it would be 5 cards since, yeah, like you said, needs to play Innervate. So, yeah, my bad. I thought ek0p had more mana than this. So, wow. So
You know what you had to do? I think, yeah, like this is one of the most awkward turns for ek0p, but he's going to hope that his opponent has absolutely nothing, but based on the aggression that Alesh put out, ek0p knows that there's going to be a combo coming up. And again, Force of Nature Savage Roar sealing another game. ek0p not going to be able to win the mirror match, the coin flip that he hoped maybe would help him get through the series. Not banning Druid, banning Mech Mage is going to make him at least a pretty big underdog in this series. There's still the Druid for Alesh and 2 decks on the back end, Paladin and Shaman, to deal with the 1 Warlock.
Is Alesh really gonna 3-0 ek0p here? This would be insane.
For him, this would be a really big deal. He qualified through the qualifiers. He was not invited, so it's a player that had to fight through the ranks to actually get to the point where he is. And beating ek0p 3-0 here would be pretty big for his name. And then he'll move on to face the winner of the next series, Nimsh or Firebat. And if Firebat wins and Alesh beats him, that's going to be at least a massive confidence boost for him.
Yeah. I mean, that's no easy task, though, so let's see if Alesh can first 3-0 ek0p, and let's see if he can win this series, because the ek0p's Warlock is just very awkward to play against, so...
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Alesh knows about ek0p. I mean, he must have at least looked into the stream from yesterday, known that ek0p was running a very unorthodox Warlock deck, and he'll have at least prepared to know what's in there.
Yeah,
if
for
he
sure.
hasn't taken a complete, list of the cards, at least he has an idea of what's in.
For sure, and the replays from yesterday were enough to know card for card ek0p's list, and it's way easier to prepare for your first opponent, right? Like Alesh could have prepared for Nimsh and Firebat third round too, but he definitely prepared in priority for ek0p's matchup because he knew he was going to play against him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a guaranteed match. So here we see ek0p's deck, as I said earlier, a little bit unorthodox, running Mistresses of Pain and the Demon Heart. A really, really nice combination when played together. Unfortunately, the Mistress of...
So,
That's a turn 4 Keeper of the Grove. I mean, what are you going to do with the Keeper of the Grove on turn 4?
yeah, he doesn't really have something to do with it. Just the fact that Druid is...
ek0p
2
says,
mana
I
ahead.
thank you. Why?
Yeah.
Why is he thanking his opponent? For not innervating, I don't know, a Yeti? Like, what's the deal?
Mind games.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Alesh must be as confused as we are. So ek0p opts not to play the Mistress of Pain, probably going to try to get a buffed Twilight Drake instead.
Yeah. If Alesh doesn't play the Keeper this turn, he's gonna have a perfect Keeper hero power on the Twilight Drake on turn 4, which makes this Wild Growth so very strong.
Well, he
Well,
can't
after-
play the
after
hero
ek0p's turn
power,
4.
but definitely. Yeah, he'll be a little delayed on the answer, but I mean, look at ek0p's hand right now. There's really no way for him to remove that Keeper without using the Drake. There is no Dark Bomb. There is no +2 attack for the Zombie Chow.
Still a good
And-
thing for ek0p to somewhat play around this Keeper, because if he would have played the Drake next turn, then it would have got no value at all.
Exactly. So right now,
drawing, Keeper's Battlecry.
yeah, and I feel like developing double Mistress of Pain and negating your life taps fully, and now you can Demon Heart her to kill Druid of the Claw. This is looking really devastating. You can start killing the Spectral Knights, the Druid of the Claw. Everything that Alesh puts down is completely dead.
Oh wow, this becomes so very strong. And I mean, there's no good play for Alesh. I mean, he doesn't know. You feel right about playing that Spectral Knight, but then Demon Heart is gonna ruin your day.
Oh, you have no idea. And the worst part is, if Mistress of Pain were to be, you know, if it's not removed right now, like, Earthring Farce here is just going to make her stick around forever.
And then, I mean,
What do you
have to
Loatheb?
swipe heal? Swipe heal power is terrible. Loatheb is pretty bad. I mean,
Force of Nature is not even a thing. Well, I mean, it is a thing. Okay, wait. Let me rephrase this. You could Druid of the Claw into the Mistress of Pain, then you innervate swipe the other Mistress of Pain. And this lets you still play Ancient of Glory on the following turn. As bad as it is.
I think I really like it, actually, because ek0p's deck has very limited potential of putting pressure in the mid game without... I mean, now this Demon Heart's gone. I mean,
That's
this
all
deck
removed
runs...
answers. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Sylvanas. We know there's Sneasel Shredder. Is there Sneasels? I remember seeing Sneasel Shredder in
there's
ek0p's deck,
Sneeds.
but...
There's Sneeds and there's Kel'Thuzad, but those only come in 2 turns. So, Alesh could be able to establish a board by then, but I think I really preferred your swipe play. Because now... this feels awkward.
Alright, so Alesh's start, despite the wild growth, was much worse than ek0p's. That Zombie Chow, oddly enough, is actually... This is one of those weird times where Zombie Chow creates a health gap. It generally ends up trading pretty early in the game, but in this case it's dealt about 10 damage, I think. I mean, that's a lot of damage dealt for a 1-drop.
Yeah. So far, even if it dies, it's going to be at least 5 damage dealt, and probably 7 at least.
I like this play from Alesh here with the Innervate Shredder to counter the Zombie Chow and Mistress of Pain. In fact, even though he's low on health, ek0p has no way to capitalize on that at the moment.
Yeah, there's not a lot of reach in ek0p's deck. There are 2 Dark Bombs, and that's... and
There's
2
a
Hellfire.
Hellfire as well, I believe, yeah.
1 or 2. So, but this is pretty much the only...
Uh-oh. This is perfect. That implosion, ladies and gents. For maximum damage and an inactive minion.
Wow.
This could not have been worse for Alesh. This is the last thing he wants to get at this point.
Well, ek0p's not gonna get 3-0'd. Well, it looks like it. I'd be very surprised if Alesh brought this game back.
Well, all it would take really is a Force of Nature to kill the Chows. You get your board back in control, you Wrath for card draw, you try to kill that Mistress of Pain. I mean, he can clear this board, but the follow-ups need to be very weak from ek0p. And he needs to find swipe for those imps.
What to do?
There's 9 damage on board.
You kill a Zombie Chow, that gives you, you know, another 5.
Yeah.
So you could Ancient of Lore yourself and Wrath the Zombie Chow. You know, that gives you quite a bit of health.
If you're, I mean, in a way, you could try and Wrath your egg to get a little bit more board control if you don't die this turn and actually use the egg, but I don't feel like it's pretty good. It's still an option, but doesn't seem like the best one.
That Demon Heart, Mistress of Pain, is the perfect counter, seemingly, to the 4/6s that are just completely over.
Card draw.
Yeah, I think you have to, and then you... Oh, that Mind Control tech. If he gets the Mistress of Pain...
This could help.
He is alive. He is alive.
Yeah.
ek0p is not even close to killing him, actually. Well, he is pretty close, but there's no way for him to just instantly win the game.
Yeah,
he has to still dig for answers. Well, okay, that's a thing.
But I mean, okay, so you MC tech, but
if you get the
like,
Zombie Chow, I think, yeah, there's nothing.
there's
you want
only the
here.
Mistress that you're happy to get.
Yeah, and even then, how do you live after that? You have to top deck. You know what? You MC
force
tag the
nature
mistress,
shade?
then you force the yeah. I think you have to MC tech regardless, though.
What? No, what if you kill a zombie chow, then you MC tech?
No, you kill a 1/1, then you MC tech,
Okay.
and then you hit whatever's left.
Yep.
Yeah, it's your only real way to do anything. He got an
Okay,
imp,
get the
not what he
mistress.
wanted. He lives.
This is still a decent turn, though.
It's arguably the best turn you could have hoped for, but that kills his odds. That, on the other hand, is not what you want to see.
Do you suicide the mistress just to gain 1 extra HP? Oh yeah, because then you get Motor Coil. Yeah.
Yeah,
so for
you
sure.
want to make sure, you truly want to make sure that there's at least one less minion on this board. If only to prevent the Force of Nature Savage World board wipe.
Yeah, this is excellent. I don't.
Oh,
I
Force of
don't
Nature
see-
Keeper of the Grove kills KT.
Yeah, it looks like okay. You live.
If you've got a better play, I'm all ears. It removes 6
No,
damage
that-
from the board, and like I'm just out of ideas here. But that's 2 Forces of Nature gone, and you're relying
Yeah.
on just
I'd
top
say-
deck after top deck.
I'd say this is the less bad play.
Okay,
like-
that seems good.
Everything's terrible. Like at least you. I guess this is the only way you have some hope of winning this game, because if KT gets any more value, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're already
Sucks.
gonna get outvalued. I mean, there's Jiraxis in the deck. How do you want to win?
Sorry about that. And here comes the Value Lord. Oh goodness.
Easy.
Oh, Alesh, do you run Sylvanas? If so, please get it out now. Ooh. No, there's an MC Tech. This is a liability. Don't fall for the trap. It's a trap.
But then, I mean, ek0p's gonna draw 3 damage. I can't.
Yeah,
he's
2
3
cards,
he
he's
has
life
2 dark
tapping.
bombs.
Yeah.
He has
he's
2
life
dark
tapping.
bombs. At least a Hellfire. There's no way. And he can even siphon Boom if he doesn't get a good MC.
No, he has BGH, Mind Control Tech. He's got everything he wants. Like, ek0p's current hand is perfect. And he doesn't find the lethal, though. So, Alesh is going to hang on for an entire turn. Oh, goodness.
Let the pain keep going.
So, Alesh at this point must be thinking that ek0p is BMing. I'm telling you that he's thinking I'm getting BM'd right now. This makes no sense. And the boom is taken.
Of course.
Oh, rubbing salt into the wound here. What BGH? Why do I need that thing? And he concedes. Alright, he's gonna speed the process up. I think he thought he was getting BM'd at this point, which we know he wasn't, but
Yeah.
it must have looked like that to him. So Alesh is actually going to lose his Druid to that Warlock. And now, without his mage, he's left with Paladin and Shaman against that specific unorthodox Warlock deck. Considering what you've seen from ek0p's deck, what do you think is favored, perhaps, Paladin or Shaman?
I have no idea anymore. I thought Druid would be good, but then Demon Heart happened. So
Yeah, but it was. I think that double Mistress of Pain, the Zombie Chow, was a really sick start from ek0p's part,
Yeah.
which didn't really allow Alesh to actually establish a board that was hard to contest. ek0p had more than enough at any point in this game to contest the board. If, however, an Innervate play had been done, I think that would have snowballed, like very early Innervate play might have snowballed out of control for Alesh, and then maybe won against ek0p. But with losing a Spectral Knight to a Mistress of Pain that becomes a 6/5, I mean, making a 6/9 out of a 1/4 that heals you when it hits something, I mean, this could be a legendary card. You could make that legendary card. A 6/9
Yeah.
that heals you when it hits.
it's extremely strong. And also, Alesh didn't get his Wild Growth in time. If he would have gun it on turn 2, the game would probably have been extremely different. But we've seen ek0p's Warlock go against Shaman yesterday, and it was a very, very close game. It came
Yeah.
down to ek0p's multiple top decks in the very late game. So I think Shaman can have a chance, but it's not going to be easy for Alesh.
What I like about the Shaman list is that if ek0p can't really get the most amazing Hellfires, it might be a bit troublesome. And Alish's deck is also not running much overload, so he can establish a really good tempo versus ek0p. And what's interesting is he's running fairly sticky minions. We saw 2 Harvest Golems and the Haunted Creepers. So without Mortal Coils, the Hellfires alone might not be enough to wipe this board. And the Twilight Drakes are weak to Earthshock.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, wow. Still, an amazing start from ek0p again.
Well, there it is. Oh, gets answered, though.
Yeah, perfectly answered, actually. But the Zombie Chow is going to be a coil play. Yeah, it allows you to get the card draw. Actually, do you coil this yet, or do you just tap? I feel like you could just tap. Yeah, he does. Okay. Because you don't want to... You'd like to coil on turn 3 when you can tap on top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or kill a Harvest Golem with Dark Bomb coil. Like, there needs to be more than just a coil. It's something you try to weave in at the end of a play.
Yeah, and with Hellfire in hand, ek0p can afford to not be overreactive with the board, because he can have a clear on turn 4 or 5.
But I really like the coin power mace play here. If it kills the Chow, lets you keep yours, you can trade up with Zombie Chow later. You keep yours, and you have an answer to Drake if it comes out. I feel like this could allow Alesh to get his tempo going.
What's annoying is that coining the Pilot Shredder could be very nice next turn, because then if you answer the turn 4 with the Earthshock,
so you would say just play the Flame Tongue Totem and trade here. It's a valid play. It's a valid play. Is that keeping the second charge of Power Mace for that Shredder is just excessively good. And ek0p is drawing pretty dry. He's got an answer to the Zombie Chow, but
and now this life tap means that he doesn't deal with the Zombie Chow. Like we said earlier, he has Hellfire, so doesn't really care about the zombie. But
I mean, if he plays Twilight Drake here, this is going to be the biggest tempo loss ever witnessed, because he knows the Twilight Drakes are semi-dead cards against ek0p. I mean against Shaman, because Shaman with the Earthshock has a very easy way to deal with them. And now with the the board that's getting filled up, ek0p is going to have to Hellfire, and I assume.
Yeah, and Hellfiring basically totems and one drop is.
It's not the worst, but let's be honest, there is better than this.
Definitely not a dream play.
Yeah.
Especially since you know that Shaman can refill this board pretty quickly.
You could Antique for health and try to Shadow Flame it if it doesn't get removed, but we know there's a Shredder with a Power Mace play coming up, so...
This is gonna hurt.
Is there any reason not to do it? Yeah.
He's gonna have to Demon Heart this Shredder?
Oh no! Oh goodness, please. You know what? He might. What else, right? What else?
What can he do? Like, okay, he could Hellfire Dark Bomb, but...
Yeah, actually that... No, it's horrible. He can't do that. He has to try to set up the Hellfire. This is too unrealistically bad for him. Oh,
okay.
Perfect!
That's something. That's something.
What? Oh, goodness. Okay, well... This is going to be a bit tougher for Alesh, because the Harvest Golem does die to Hellfire unless it's Defender of Argus, which means then Coil makes it completely go away, which wipes his board entirely.
Yeah, unfortunately he can't play both Argus and Golem this turn, because Golem and then Argus, the Golem and the Zombie Chow would be excellent.
Do you just totem again and try to put him on, force him to Hellfire really low value plays?
Well, you have Hex, right? So you can answer one big minion, and Giants won't come out, so...
Playing passively for one turn feels like, I'm okay with it.
ek0p's big minions cost a lot of mana. Like Kel'Thuzad and Sneeds, so you can totally Hex them and still get tempo. It's not like against Handlock where they could play 2 Giants in the same turn.
Yeah, okay, so Alesh is going to play his Defender of Argus into that Hellfire. ek0p is going to be able to kill this entire board with a very, very obvious Hellfire Coil play. He can even life tap on the back of it.
Yeah. He might go for Mistress, though, to get a little bit of board control.
Oh yeah, of course, that makes a hell of a lot more sense than life tapping.
Yep.
I keep forgetting those little girls are 2 mana.
I mean, when you've seen them be 6/5, you forget, but...
Oh, is that a 6 mana card? Wait, a 7 mana card? So, I mean, Alesh doesn't like this because his sudden, the amount of damage he's been able to pack in the early game, the tempo he's managed to gain, has just been completely negated by the heal bot and the zombie chow giving health back to his opponent. And ek0p's got even more healing coming up at the moment.
Yeah, so Alesh is...
He's all in on that ek0p play. It smells like an all in on ek0p.
Yeah, ek0p has Shadow Flame though, and it's not gonna happen.
ek0p is not even close to worried about this.
Yeah, there is no way.
Yeah. Huh. Would an Azure Drake help in this case? You could play BGH and Shadow Flame, but then again, if Azure Drake comes out with his Lightning Storm and this board gets cleaned, that gives Alesh the tempo that he needs again. And you know what? There could be a very surprising ek0p burst. There's one Rock Biter. If Alesh manages to find a second one, things could spiral out of control. I mean, between the Flame Tongue, because if he Lightning Storms here, statistically, we can assume one of the 2 minions is going to die. One of the 2 minions with 3 health, which would allow him to use Flame Tongue Totem to finish off the Mistress of Pain, regardless of what happens there. See, we have a turn that's not that terrible here. It allows him to keep...
lives, and there's no more Motocoin in ek0p's deck, so this Golem being at 1 doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it gets healed anyway, back with the healing totem, so it's gonna be more than fine. The question is, do you play your Flame Tongue now to kill that Mistress of Pain? Because you give ek0p the ability to answer before you really get damage out. Oh wow.
Well, that was a good call, because there's MC Tech.
Alesh probably knows the list that ek0p's playing, because that was way too good a call. I think he might have studied what ek0p is playing. And ek0p getting a perfect hit with those imps. Alesh has no more
just after the storm. Wow.
This might be a case of trying to get as much damage as you can out of Flame Tongue Defender and hoping for another Rock Biter weapon at this point.
Then because ek0p double Rock Biter is 18 damage, so feels pretty good.
The problem is it's not quite there, and look at those Mistresses of Pain. It doesn't look like much, but you let them live, and he's putting you out of reach pretty quickly. And you can't overextend into MC Tech based on the play you made last year, and that is what you played against.
And also, you know that ek0p runs multiple board clears, so like you want to contest the board, but at the same time you know that ek0p has multiple answers, like the MC Tech and the Shadow Flame, to multiple minions on your part, so very awkward turn.
Oh wow. Okay, so is this where you start? Do you have to start trading into those Mistresses of Pain before they start just snowballing the health gap?
So you'd Argus the Golem and the...
Oh no, I don't know what I do. I'm just trying to think out loud here. I feel like you have to get rid of them. Or you have to go all in on the face. It's just so awkward not to. Alright, he goes all in on the face and hopes that his ek0p is going to be able to lie down next to that Flame Tongue and then proceed to Rock Bite, which is going to give him an amazing amount of burst. But MC Tech and Shadow Flame are going to make short work of this board. There's nothing there that ek0p's afraid of.
I don't understand why Alesh chose to kill a 1/1 with this healing totem. I don't get it. But in any case, this is a terrible turn for him because, like you say, MC Tech Shadow Flame is going to be
Actually,
huge.
If he doesn't steal a taunt... Oh no, ek0p's going to be able to heal off the Mistresses. I was about to say, if he doesn't steal a taunt, then ek0p Rock Biter is lethal. But based on what I'm looking at here, there's no way that this is going to work out.
No, it won't work next turn, and now that ek0p has a complete board control...
Yeah, and Jiraxis even in hand in case the burst comes down too fast.
Yeah.
Those Mistresses of Pain putting way too much work against Shaman. It's incredible.
Yep.
Oh. We saw a Fire Elemental. Was that worth nothing? Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think here because really if you kill a Mistress of Pain, the opponent's on 20 health. If you hit face, he just heals up. If like whatever you do, you still end up having to go from. I feel like this might have been the strength of Doomhammer, that you can combine it with double Rockbiter and also add in lightning bolts to weave in for burst, as opposed to have the strike. Oh, finally, Alesh taking out one Mistress of Pain. So one Mistress at a time will finally get there, maybe.
Okay,
Sludge
this is
Gusher,
game over.
Siphon Soul.
I mean, ek0p has 14 damage worth of healing, plus Jiraxxus, plus a Belcher. There is no way that Alesh ever gets lethal.
I am loving the fact that Mistress of Pain is currently seeing play. We saw Dark Onyx with a very unorthodox Warlock deck a while back that contained it, but nothing like what we have right now. This is a hype, like, it heals so much. The amount of healing that ek0p has managed to do in this game is incredible. We used to have a very similar archetype back in Alpha called Heal Lock, which was a kind of a hand lock, but with even more healing. But what did we have back then? Like Voodoo Doctors? Like, that just doesn't cut it. So ek0p with Mistresses of Pain making the Warlock, you know, he can afford tapping all day now, and there's no drawback.
Yeah, I really like ek0p's deck. It seems invincible when it's played right.
Yeah, well, what I think is it hinges a lot on getting the zombie chows and the healing early, because if they get tempo and you never find the Mistresses of Pain, or if you don't roll a good implosion when you're trying to remove something, there is a bit of variance, but I feel like the life tap mitigates the variance of the cards that he's playing. You might need your healing, but the amount of cards that you draw makes sure that you're going to get to them, which is the strength of Warlock, really, and we can see it here.
Yeah, and
Alesh
I mean,
is
ek0p didn't always draw perfect starts in all his games with this deck since yesterday. So,
I mean, today he had really 2 perfect starts.
yeah.
But, I mean, yesterday he had really awkward starts, but Life Tap made up for it very quickly. And, you know, he'd lost a lot of health, but by the time he'd lost a lot of health, he was also perfectly healthy. Because he was able to play anti-heal bots, and then Earthling Farseer, and then just start healing up on the back of everything.
I would expect to see another concede from Alesh.
Yeah, he knows there's nothing he can really do. I mean, an Earth Shock perhaps, but how much reach do you expect to find at this point, right?
He need Earth Shock and another Rockbiter, but even then, that's only 18, and the Mistress is healing turn after turn, so...
Yeah, and the further the Warlock heals away from your burst, the less likely it is that you can ever do something. So not only does it need to wipe the board of any taunt that might come up, including your Frog, mind you, but you also have to have the Warlock just blank on damage and healing.
I guess you can hope that ek0p gets cocky, plays Jiraxxus,
and then you burst it down from there.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean
God.
that's an extremely tiny hope, and I would definitely not expect ek0p to make this this mistake. But when you're in a tournament, you try until you're dead.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a Lightning Storm or bust turn, pretty much. Yeah, Haunted Creeper is not helpful at all. Although, you know what? The more I think about it, the more I'm looking at the Haunted Creeper and thinking, if that had come earlier, that would have been a very meaningful card. It deals with imps very effectively. It would have given health to the Mistresses of Pain, but it's 3 damage in that one body.
Yeah.
So, ek0p will find lethal here, a very obvious one with Hellfire and Dark Bomb after attacking. That doesn't even need the Dark Bomb, in fact. So that is going to be game here.
Yeah, we're gonna go into game 5 between Alesh and ek0p. So ek0p, for the second match in a row, we're gonna see someone going from 0-2 to 2-2, and we're actually gonna see match point. Is ek0p also gonna go for the reverse sweep?
Yeah, like Reynad did against. I just can't believe this even happened. Reynad's reverse sweeped fake, and now we're seeing another reverse sweep with the most unorthodox Warlock deck I've seen, and it's gonna go up against Paladin right now. So we have to check.
Yes.
And the thing is, I feel like Paladin has trouble with the deck just by virtue of them not having enough burst. They have steady, they have steady damage. If Alesh's Paladin is built in such a way that it contains Powdered Shredders and Sky Golems, and he's got, stuff that sticks regardless of board wipes and can, deal recurrent damage, then sure. But if he's gonna be counting on burst, then that's just, there's no reach in Paladin.
I still think that Paladin can stand a good chance because of the shredders, like you say, of the mini bot. That all of those units don't die to Hellfire or Shadow Flame. You need to individually address them.
Yeah.
You can't just clear the whole board at once. So I think that could be. Alesh could have a chance. This is going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah, do you know if he's playing Black Knight in this deck? I mean, that would help with maybe a single Sludge Belcher that gets played. It's not a huge deal, but if he's running, the Equality Context, which I have to assume that he is, Aldor Peacekeeper could negate some of the trade potential of his opponent. And it could be a very long game. If this is a slower Control Paladin, this could just take forever. And the Warlock is going to eventually life tap himself to death.
Yeah, we could see a Fatigue game, which would be the second one after the Fatigue Mage of Carlos, which has, I mean, its only purpose is to go to Fatigue, so I don't know if it really counts.
It's designed to get there every single time, so if this gets to Fatigue, interestingly, it's probably going to be on the back of really good removal, and still the Paladin able to contest the board and force ek0p to wipe and wipe and wipe until they finally, eke out their legendaries down on the board. The thing is that I look at ek0p's deck, and double Siphon Soul is... I mean, the double Siphon Soul in ek0p's deck is just so strong against anything. It doesn't matter what you're playing. The ability for him to just remove any big minion without having to commit... Because, situational removal like BGH makes it sometimes very difficult to take advantage of it.
But one huge weakness of ek0p's deck is that to make all of this happen at once, he had to cut the silences.
Yep.
So Tyrion is bringing an Ashbringer, unless it gets MC Tech or Sylvanas.
I'm going to be honest, I think ek0p knows to do this. We saw him Sylvanas Shadow Flame against a Paladin, waited for the perfect opportunity and got it. And this is not only a perfect board wipe, but you get the weapon. So Alesh is going to have to know and ping at least the shield off of his own Paladin to make sure that he can answer it. He's going to have to at least try for that. And there are 2 Paladin Sky Golems and 2 Paladin Shredder in Alesh's deck. This is probably his best shot at getting this Warlock deck down.
Yeah, I guess Alesh only wants, he needs a turn 2 like a Juggler or a Mini-Bot would be even better, seeing that ek0p has Darkbond in hand.
Yeah, and the Implosion is almost a drawback. Yep.
Yeah. So ek0p has a lot of answers between the Implosion, the Dark Bomb, the Hellfire, the Shadow Flame, the Demon Heart. He only has answers, which is pretty good.
But the question is, ek0p getting the coil here, able to coil tap perfectly on curve. It's going to be amazing for him. If he finds a Twilight Drake, that's a pretty tough minion to answer if you're Alesh.
Interestingly enough, ek0p chose to tap first. But I mean, I don't... Unless
what else would have mattered? Perhaps Mistress of Fame might have been...
Yeah, exactly. Unless he knows that he won't play a Mistress if he draws her, I would have coiled first because there's no drawback of doing it first.
Yeah. Alright, so again, another Mortal Coil going to give him value in the Mistress of Pain. At least Alesh has a True Silver Champion to handle her.
The thing is, Alesh could coin Quartermaster next turn, so if ek0p simply motor coils, Alesh could get a very strong board next turn. Even though ek0p could answer with a Demon Heart on his Mistress, he chose to go for Hellfire, not taking the chance. And
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Alesh has a really good curve here. He's going to be able to put pressure on ek0p.
Alright, I mean, ek0p's playing so fast. I guess he knows his deck by heart because we're always trying to figure out what can happen, and just ek0p just answers very, very quickly. He always knows what he's going for.
Alright, so if you're Alesh here, do you play True Silver Champion or do you coin out the Powdered Shredder? You don't have to coin, obviously. You could even go for the Knife Juggler Muster for Battle combination. That's also pretty likely to work. And you've seen one Hellfire, so by attacking with your Lice Justice into that 3/3 and then Muster, Knife Juggler Mustering, you have a pretty high chance of hitting it twice. And if that doesn't work, then you just use your Armor Smith.
I like this because you've just seen a Hellfire. So you
And now you
force
force a
another
Shadow
clear.
Flame, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if ek0p has to go Mistress Shadow Flame just to kill the 1/1s in case of a Quartermaster, this is
Yeah,
gonna
that
hurt
is
him.
devastating. Yeah. So we know I've never seen weapon removal in ek0p's hand, so in ek0p's deck. So I'm going to assume there is no Harrison Jones, obviously. And
Yeah, there's
looking at
none.
this, Alesh's board control. I mean, he's got answers to Implosion. He's got because of the Knife Juggler Muster for battle. Just that alone will handle that. If ek0p floods the board with valuable minions like anti-heal bots, Mistress of Pain, and it overextends, then Mind Control tech becomes excessively interesting.
I can't help but feel like playing this weapon this turn is kind of weak because now ek0p doesn't have to address the board immediately. If he had any kind of pressure he could have played it. Like a Belcher this turn would have been very good for ek0p.
Yeah, and what I feel is, like, right now, we're going to be looking at either Coil or Mistress of Pain from ek0p. Mistress of Pain is a sacrifice to the True Silver Champion, so I don't feel like that's a really good option. I feel like just coiling and passing, letting the Paladin just use up his weapon right now on those 1/1s, or trying to find a Consecration that's really weak, might be a better alternative. But ek0p might be happier to lose a Mistress of Pain than a more valuable minion. I don't know.
I feel like this is decent. He cycles to get to the later game, or this Drake is excellent as well. And if Alesh doesn't consecrate this, which would be terrible, ek0p can suddenly have 5/5 on the board.
Yeah,
It has charge, which
exactly.
is
So from
so
his
strong.
perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to feel like the Knife Juggler would have been better last turn, if only not to override your True Silver Champion. Because right now, Alesh, if he plays the Muster for Battle combo with the Juggler, is in a position where suddenly his True Silver is going to have to go face. So playing the Golem for the massive tempo gain that it gives you is probably the only thing you can do. I mean, you don't play MC Tech with being so close to the value you're going to get. I mean, ek0p just saw that Muster for Battle coming. I mean, that attack on the face from True Silver just screams, I've got Muster for Battle.
Yeah, really. And I mean, I understand Alesh's move there to attack the face because he has another True Silver, he has a Muster, so there's nothing really to waste there. But at the same time, ek0p has so much healing, you're never going to win by dealing damage. You're going to win by having the board, so...
Yeah, but it's going to be a war of attrition to get the board and try to maintain it against ek0p. And looking at what ek0p's got in hand right now, do you think he's tempted to go for, you know, a little bit of an overextension with Twilight Drake, Zombie Chow, Mistress, or is he going to play the slower game with straight up removal, and once that 6/4 is out of the way, then populate the board?
Yeah, I would get rid of the Shredder, because sure the deck has a lot of healing, but taking 6 to the face also hurts, so you want to use that healing. I don't know.
So Mistress of Pain and Zombie Chow, so the overextension is complete. That's essentially a perfect turn for Alesh to go for his play here. 7 mana, that's Knife Juggler, Muster for Battle, MC Tech, everything is just lining up perfectly.
He could also just go for equality combo. Just he doesn't even have...
This is amazing here for Alesh. If there's a turn that's going to turn the game around, this is it.
I think I would simply go equality consecrate, because if you play the Juggler Muster and there's a board clear, then you lose a lot. But just having that 6/4 on the board that ek0p didn't address last turn is insanely strong, because you know that ek0p doesn't have any silence.
Yeah, you've seen the 2 coils. You have the list from watching perhaps yesterday's stream to scout, so to scout his deck for the day. So you know that he's not going to be able to Iron Beak Owl and remove this. You know, and the board has moved a little bit, so we see less of Alesh's hand. Consecration syndrome here, and
I like this Coin Juggler here because any board clear is bad to just clear 2 minions, one of them replacing itself. But at the same time, you really need to address this board.
Yeah,
so,
and the worst part is if you don't, you just die. So you're just short of 1 mana to go for the anti-heal bot Shadow Flame. So anti-heal bot is a bit of a delay card, where you're buying yourself time until you can maybe get an even bigger amount of healing.
And now what can ek0p actually do now? He's really on the back foot at the moment. His hand is...
Oh, no, I feel he's fine. I
It's
think anti-killbot tap is even a cool play. It's just... I think everything he does here is going to let him transition into at least Jiraxis. Yeah, I mean, next turn he can anti-killbot and Shadow Flame.
Yeah, okay.
He is going to be able to do that, and but I think Alesh needs to press his advantage right now. Just go full-on aggression, and not let ek0p recover from this. Force him to use all his healing.
Well, you True Silver the 3/3, and then you Pilot Shredder.
Yeah, that seems like the perfect use of a curve here, because
Yeah,
two
'cause
minions
even-
replace themselves off of Shadow Flame. It doesn't get much better.
Yeah.
These
So
Shredder,
true.
these pilot things are just everywhere. It's like every deck has them nowadays.
They're that strong.
And now ek0p down to 7 health. He needs to get anti-killbot, Shadow Flame, and a Doomsayer.
What I mean, the 2 drops from the guns are gonna be huge. 5, 6.
Oh, ouch! A 5/4. That's a pretty high attack range.
That is one off lethal.
Yeah, he's one off.
Wow, because of the spell power.
Yeah, I can't believe this actually. If the Knife Juggler was still alive somehow, that Muster for Battle would finish it. But if you look at ek0p's hand right now, how does he deal with the board? He's got no removal follow-up that allows him to establish tempo.
I mean, you've seen one Shadow Flame and one Hellfire. I don't remember what ek0p used as board
We
clear,
haven't
but
seen Sludge Belcher, so the problem with he's played all the coils and one Hellfire. So we're waiting on ek0p's ability to play a Sludge Belcher here to do anything. It's going to be Demon Heart and Sludge. Otherwise, he's dead. I mean, Jiraxis is going to buy 1 turn, but we know that the lethal will come shortly after.
and what can
There's
ek0p
no
draw?
AoE.
There's
Sludge Belcher
would
and
be-
Demon Heart. That's it.
yeah, or I guess a Hellfire draw, and then you Siphon Soul the 5/4, clear the rest. You're still at 4 HP, and you're technically alive.
Uh-oh. Alesh says you better have that removal because you're dead.
Wow. Okay, I like
This is
this.
an all-in play, but it's very, very aggressive.
This
Just
is
getting
both.
that Life's Justice is perfect, and I think
Yeah.
this is game.
Wow, great play from Alesh. I like this last play because this is both you need to have board clear and your MC tech is most likely gonna get nothing.
Yeah, if you MC tech this board, you're guaranteeing yourself pretty much a 1/1. And even if
Yeah.
you steal a bigger thing, what's your follow-up? You need to have Shadow Flame on curve, which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't let you kill my 5/4 because it's going to be out of range of it. So then you've used 2
Exactly.
coils, there's nothing left for you to get. So really well played by Alesh. He's going to have to take this game. I mean, I can't think of a single answer here from ek0p.
Wow, really extremely well played by both players, but Alesh, the underdog, is gonna go up to round 2 of the finals, climbing all the qualifiers to get here and winning against ek0p. This is huge, and he's gonna have to go against either Nimsh or Firebat in the next round.
Yeah, and I think he's got to be feeling very happy about himself. I mean, he had a really tough time initially. He went, 2-0 and down 2-2 with a nearly reverse sweep with this Warlock deck. And ek0p's going to finally fall down to Paladin. I thought he'd fall down to something else in this. This is not my expected outcome. And Alesh going to move on to the second round of the finals. And next up is going to be his contender. Whoever wins the next match, Alesh is going to be facing. Again, 2 names that have been very prominent in the Hearthstone scene. Nimsh, the leader of Cloud9, and Firebat, member of Team Archon and winner of BlizzCon 2014. Obviously, everybody knows that. So if he does win, it's going to be a really, really big ego boost for him. All right.
Right. So apparently, Firebat, we didn't get to reach
Okay.
Firebat yet, so we're gonna play Ties versus Reynad right now, while still waiting for Firebat to come here. So we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna see Ties versus Reynad in the round 2 of the Mad Catz Battle of the Best finals.
How much time do I have? Hey, what were you gonna say? Sorry. Were you gonna say something?